18th, 2016. If you want to follow us on Twitter, please go to CATEX TV. Well, over the weekend, the same area of Japan that had been hit by two prior earthquakes, the island of Kyushu, was hit by a third quake, which was the biggest one of all. This was a 7.3 earthquake. The two earlier quakes, both in the high sixes, have now been classified as foreshocks. This quake has done some significant damage, apparently. The total death toll now for all three quakes is apparently nearing about 80. But what's happened as well is it struck in an area which is home to the Japanese semiconductor industry. A number of Japanese manufacturers have halted operations as they assess damage. Mitsubishi, Fujifilm, Sony, Bridgestone, Honda, and Toyota are some of the companies whose production plants and supply chains have been affected by the earthquakes. According to Applied Insurance Research, the area where the quake struck is home to about 25% of Japan's semiconductor production operation. Toyota has announced this morning that due to part shortages resulting from severe earthquakes in the area of Kyushu, the company is suspending production on its vehicle assembly lines in stages between April 18th and the 23rd. This week-long suspension is expected to lead to a drop in production of about 50,000 vehicles. Also, at the same time, Honda has suspended production at its motorcycle plant in its area. Nissan Motor has stopped output on its plant in Fukuoka, and Fujifilm Holdings has also halted production of electronic display devices in the Kumamoto plant. We're going to have to keep an eye on this because there will undoubtedly be business interruption claims. Meanwhile, on the other side of the world, on Saturday, the country of Ecuador was struck by a 7.8 earthquake, causing widespread damage to buildings. The death toll now is confirmed at 277. The Ecuadorian president said this is going to rise considerably. The earthquake was felt widely in the capital of Quito. It struck near the town of Muzni in the northern part of the country. Some impact to reinsurance contracts seem likely, apparently, by early estimates given the extent of the damage in Ecuador. The discussions in Doha about OPEC plus Russia beginning to try to curtail oil production collapsed almost before they started. The Russian ruble has now fell the most among emerging market currencies, and Russian bonds headed for the biggest drop in almost 2 weeks. Russia's economy, of course, is sustained by Russian oil production. The currency dipped about 2 whole percentage points. There were significant hurdles to any deal after Saudi Arabia announced that the kingdom would not restrain its production without commitments from other major oil producers, including Iran. Iran, of course, is trying to make up for lost time after the embargoes have been lifted and is ruled out any possibility of a freeze for now. According to Fitch ratings, Chinese insurance companies' increasing tendency to invest overseas could increase levels of risk. Fitch said that Chinese insurer investments, which are predominantly in long-tenured, illiquid asset classes such as real estate, threaten to cause greater asset liability duration mismatches as the size of these investments continues to grow. Translation: the valuation of the investments are usually in dollars or Western currencies. However, the source of the investment income is in the Chinese renminbi. It seems to be a clear warning shot across the bow of companies such as Anbang Insurance, which has been on a buying spree of properties in the West and recently lost out on the bidding with Marriott to acquire Starwood hotels. There was an unusual event on Friday afternoon in Western Ethiopia. A raid from attackers in South Sudan on the Western Ethiopian part of the country ended up killing 208 people and kidnapped about 150 children. Apparently it was a livestock raid. Meanwhile, the Ethiopian Defense Forces are pursuing, going even into South Sudan. Some 60 of the attackers supposedly have been killed already, according to the Ethiopian Defense Ministry. As we speak, heavy rains are pounding the Houston, Texas area that could be sustaining as we talk. Rates of rainfall in between 3 to 8 inches of rain per hour, with some isolated pockets getting even more rain. It's part of a violent storm system that stretches about 1,000 miles from the Dakotas down to Texas. According to CBS TV in Houston, the entire area of Harris County is under a life-threatening weather alert. The rescue forces have been out pulling people from homes as streets have been inundated. Meanwhile, in about 1 hour's time, the annual running of the Boston Marathon is going to occur in Boston, Massachusetts. There is a significant police presence, of course, after the bombings there several years ago. Some 30,000 runners are expected to compete. The weather in the northeastern United States is quite nice today. The temperature should be in the low 70s with cloudless skies. That's the news for today. If we have any breaking news, we'll come back and tell you. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow.